2011, Guiliana revealed that she was battling breast cancer and bravely shared the story of her struggle, including a double mastectomy, with the world. Guiliana and Bill are here today to share their heartfelt and compelling journey. Welcome, Guiliana and Bill.
You, honey.
Thank you, darling.
Well, I've got to say, let me hear you, Lancaster. Even in the back. It is great to be here. It's great to be in such a wonderful city. You know, when we look back at our journey, it's really been what we call an unplanned planet, and it really was from the day we met. You know, we were never supposed to meet. And for me, it began when I got a call from a friend of mine's mother, and she called me up and she said, there's a new show with Trump, and they're looking for young entrepreneurs to compete, and if you win, you can become his right-hand man. She said, I made you an appointment to meet with these people on Thursday at 3 o'clock. And lo and behold, I won the show. And after I went on this tour, traveling around the country, renovating boys and girls clubs. I partnered up with Ace Hardware, and we went coast to coast, fixing up these boys and girls clubs. And I was supposed to fix up the Boys and Girls Club in San Francisco. And something had happened, and our plan had changed because something was happening at that Boys and Girls Club. And they rerouted us to the Santa Monica Boys and Girls Club.
I was in the newsroom one day, and I heard the assignment manager handing out an assignment to the new girl. And she said, you're going to go interview Bill Ransic from The Apprentice. Yeah. So I hear this, and I walk out of my office, and I go, what's Bill Ransic from The Apprentice doing? And she goes, oh, you're so busy being the anchor, you know, we'll send the new girl, but he's renovating Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And I said, well, you know, I do love the boys and the girls, and those clubs, they're so, you know, the clubs. I got to get out there and shine a spotlight on the clubs. And they're like, okay, we know what you're doing. You can go to the interview. So the next day, I get my hair and makeup done, my little outfit. I am ready to go interview Bill Ransic for the Boys and Girls Club of America, of course. And I'm ready to interview him. And I do what any good journalist does right before she goes out on a huge interview. I Google Bill Ransic girlfriend, and a picture pops up of Bill and this blonde girl, and I'm like, what? He has a girlfriend? How can I get out of this interview? No, of course not. I would never have done that.
Are you and your girlfriend going to get married anytime soon?
Great question. Hard-hitting. Barbara Walters would have asked the same thing.
And I stopped, and I look at her, and I said, girlfriend? What girlfriend? Now let me tell you, it was the most miraculous transformation I've ever seen in my life. The arms come unfolded, she kind of steps in, hand on my back, like, unbelievable what had happened there. She was just about to leave, and I grew up with 3 older sisters, and I never wanted to be that creepy guy, so I worked up enough courage, and I said, Guiliana, she looks at me, and I said, would you like to go running sometime? She looks at me kind of funny, like, huh? She said, how about dinner and drinks instead? I said, that sounds like a much better plan.
We were married in Capri, Italy, in southern Italy. It was this beautiful fantasy wedding, fairy tale wedding. And then she asked the final question, have you gotten a mammogram? And I said, no. But let me explain. I'm 36. I have no family history of breast cancer. I think, can't you just kind of, you know, check that off? And I sat in that office, and out of nowhere, this wave of fear just came over me. And I did something I'd never done before in a doctor's office. I took all my stuff, my bag, my sunglasses, hat, and I literally sprinted out of the doctor's office. I just didn't want to be there. Looking back, I knew something was going to happen. And as I went to the elevator and I was hitting the button, the nurse came out and said, you need to come back. And I said, no, no, no. And she goes, you need to come back right now. And I said, is it bad news? She goes, you're going to be okay. You need to come back. And I thought, okay, good. And I sat down, and the doctor came in. And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I remember kind of going back like this, like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And he goes, I'm so sorry, but you have breast cancer.
So she went in for the lumpectomy, and right before she was going in for the surgery, The doctor pulled us aside. He said, you know, I saw something in the other breast, and I just have a weird feeling. I'm going to go check that out as well, as long as you're going in. So she went in, and everything went well, perfect as planned, and we got home, and a few days later we get a call. And it's always seemed we were getting these calls like, I'm so sorry, but you know, this usually never happens. But it turns out she had breast cancer in the other breast as well. And I could tell that she was very uneasy. And the first thing I said to her was, honey, I don't care what you look like. I just need you around for the next 50 years.
And lo and behold, you know, every day I was getting a little better, a little better, a little better, and I did get better. And at the same time, while we were preparing, hopefully, to go to New Year's Eve in New York, and I was getting better every day, we also decided to move forward with a surrogate. Our doctor had basically said at this point, he said, listen, good news and bad news. The bad news is you have to go on medication for 5 years for the cancer, so you can't carry a baby because it could cause a lot of problems for the child, for yourself, especially the child. He said, but the good news is you do have the option of having a surrogate carry the embryos that we had retrieved, that we still have in Denver. Bottom line is, we had something positive to focus on. And we did make it to New York City, and while we were in New York City right before New Year's Eve, it was the day before New Year's Eve, on the 30th, and we're doing interviews for this event, and all of a sudden Bill's phone rings.
I had my phone tucked right, we were sitting on a couch just like this, and we were doing all these interviews, and we were there with the People magazine reporter, and my phone's tucked right under my thigh and vibrates, and I look down, and it's a 303 area code. And I pop up like there was a fire. And I run into the other room, and I got my phone, and Guiliana gets up, this poor reporter didn't know what was going on. And it's our Dr. Schoolcraft.
And he said, hi, you two. Hi, Dr. Schoolcraft. Well, I'm calling to let you know that you're having a baby. I was so excited. It was just the greatest news. It felt like for so long we had been getting bad news after bad news after bad news. And when it rains, it pours, as many of you know. And finally it felt like, okay, we had turned a corner, that maybe this was the beginning of good news. And we were right. It really was the beginning of good news. And that was in December, or January 1, I should say. And August 29th, Duke was born, Edward Duke Ransic, and he was just the cutest little baby in the world. He was